Hello everyone, and welcome back to another week of the Backlog Bunker. This week I mostly played FF7 Remake, but I don't really have that much to say aside from the fact that the game is beginning to grate on me just a little bit. In terms of the game's actual mechanics, I still like them. When I actually get to play the game, I have fun playing it. The problem is all the times I don't get to play the game, because Remake is very much guilty of a lot of AAA-isms. The first being squeeze-through segments, where you have to sidle up to the wall and slowly walk through until you go to the other side, which may or may not be for loading. Regardless of what they're for, they're boring as shit. The game forcing my walk/run speed down so I can follow another character while they talk, even though you can just have them talk while I play the game. This got to me in particular during the sewer segment of Remake. And again, FF7 Remake is not a bad game, but I had that moment that I have with a lot of bad games, where I'm doing something in the moment where it just makes me stop and go, what the fuck am I doing right now? To be specific, it's during the sewers when you have to walk through a dark area, and Tifa goes, wow, it sure is dark, you don't think they're gonna drop the Sector 7 plate, do ya? And it almost seems like the entire dark section exists only to have Tifa talk to you, because she finishes talking exactly when you get out of the darkness. But then, after you get out of that section, you have to do 3 minutes straight of backtracking, because you have to turn on the lights, to turn off the water, to get a key, to open the door that was in front of the lights in the first place. Nothing engaging happens in between leaving the darkness and unlocking the door, so, here's a thought, why not, instead of slowing me down, just have me grab the key, and while I'm doing that, Tifa is talking to me, so that by the time I unlock the door, Tifa is done talking to me. Instead, what the game gave me was 2 different sections of nothing happening, when they could have just been put into one. Then there's minor things like the ladders, where it feels like climbing up every single ladder in this game takes a little bit longer than it should. Not helped by the fact that ladders are very frequently put in chest-high areas where climbing the ladder would take so much longer than just putting a ramp. So the logical part of my brain starts thinking, why did they put ladders there? They can't be for loading, because they only take 2 seconds. I doubt it's just for set dressing, because again, you could have done ramps just as easily. So the cynical part of my brain starts thinking, and comes to the conclusion that it's just another AAA-ism. The ladders are there for the same reason the walk and talk sections are there, because you make the player think that they're playing a game when they're really not. Speaking of AAA games, our weekly topic was kind of inspired by a tweet someone made a little while ago, saying that Summer Games Fest proves we're in the era of infinite games but no games. And I realize now that people might not even know what that means. Hell, the whole reason AAA-isms even exist is because most people just don't recognize them. So to reiterate, the weekly topic is about the fact that we are, in fact, in an era of infinite games but no games. So to explain, I first want to point out the fact that yes, infinite games have always been coming out. Even if you go back 30 years, you can find shovelware on any console. But the difference between then and now is that back then, we had the slob, yeah, but we also had the real games among the slob. But now, the things that are supposed to be the real games are the slob. A wave of gacha games comes out every year, and can you honestly tell me that any of them are good? They all do the same thing because they all have the same purpose, which is to propagate themselves forever from infinite money. Gacha games are the event horizon of the live service model, and I'm astounded that more games don't already copy them word for word. But in the sake of fairness, I'm gonna go to the opposite side of the spectrum and point out how it's still a very dire state we're in right now. You wanna know what my first $70 game purchase is gonna be? Metal Gear Solid Delta. This is for a multitude of reasons, but the most relevant ones of the conversation we're having right now is that Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. But what does it say about the state of gaming that one of the most high-profile releases this year is remaking a game that absolutely did not need to be remade because it was one of the most beloved games of all time in the state that it had already come out in? Obviously, we're at no shortage of remakes, but the reason I use Metal Gear Solid 3 as an example specifically is to point out the fact that even games that I'm probably going to like are not exempt from the fact that we are in an era of no games. Even if we were to just use Konami, the Silent Hill 2 remake came out last year, and the Silent Hill remake is going to come out sometime soon. I didn't even originally have Silent Hill in my notes, but the more remakes keep getting announced, the more it just keeps happening. People joke about Persona 5 remake, but by the time the Persona 4 remake comes out, we'll already have been a decade out from Persona 5's release in Japan. And the more remakes that keep getting made, the less lucrative titles we have to pull from. And who knows, Persona 5's time might come sooner than we think. But that's a funny thought, because it's always soon, isn't it? Soon, eventually, coming one day. Because the other reason that we're in an era of no games is because games just refuse to come out. Between announcements that have yet to see the light of day, if they ever even do, and games that come out that just are broken pieces of shit that don't even work, what is it exactly that the gamers get excited about anymore when games are even announced? Where is Kingdom Hearts 4, or Elder Scrolls 6, or Wolverine, or Marvel 1943? Why were these games even announced if they were never close to being completed? You might think to yourself with a Kingdom Hearts or an Elder Scrolls, well, those games are gonna come out eventually, they're just radio silent right now. But never forget, game development is a tricky dick, and anything can happen. If a game has gone silent after its announcement, always assume the worst. It could be a Metroid Prime 4 where you have to restart your entire development cycle. It could be a Star Wars 1313 where you're a very high-profile game, and they just get cancelled. It could be a Wonder Woman or a Black Panther, where those games get cancelled and we didn't know anything about them. But they were still announced, weren't they? Among the better cases is a Cyberpunk 2077, where you do eventually come out, you're just buggy and don't work. And the game is so busted that it ruins your reputation for the next 5 or so years. Mind's Eye is yet another example of a thing that I did not originally have in my notes for this episode, and yet it just keeps happening. I'm not usually this pessimistic about the state of gaming, and truth be told, I'm still kinda not. Fantasy Life I eventually came out, and I've only heard good things. Doom the Dark Ages has not been as universally positive, but it came out completely on schedule, which is unbelievably something I have to praise it for in this era of AAA releases. Expedition 33 is the best of both worlds because it came out on schedule, and I've only heard good things about it. So yeah, it's not like I'm that pessimistic about the state of gaming, it's just that when I see things like Summer Game Fest, I can only be disappointed in what I see. I can only hope things get better from here on out, but what good does hope do? Please save us, Kid Icarus Uprising 2. That's it, get out of here.